Facebook. I know some of you might be surprised to see me. So I was planning on going live on Instagram tonight. I even made a flyer, a little graphic, and I shared that on here. I shared it on Instagram, but for some reason over on my Instagram, it is just not letting me go live. Like that little thing, you know, the button down at the bottom where it says live, and then you can switch from your story. All it says is story, so I have no idea what's going on. I hope there's like not something wrong with my account. So at the last minute, I came over here to Facebook, and we're just gonna make do with that. We're just going to do the live stream over here on Facebook. So thank you everyone for joining me over here, and we're just gonna continue with it. So I was gonna do another live stream Q&A. I've done these a few times over on Instagram, and you know, now I'm over here on Facebook, and I do have some pre-submitted questions that people sent in, both on Facebook and Instagram. So I'll be answering those, and then by all means, if you have any questions and you want to participate, please feel free to ask your questions live. So here we go. Let's just start with the pre-submitted questions. So the first one is from Ryan Garcia from Facebook. He says, my trombone slide is not moving properly. What should I do? Or do I need to put something on the trombone slide? Okay, so this is a great question, a great beginner question for trombonists. And I know this is a problem a lot of beginners have. They just can't get the slide to work. It's, you know, there's a million things that could be wrong with it. But the first thing I have to say is make sure your slide is clean. I know that sounds like way too simple of an answer, but it really is going to make a huge difference if your slide is clean and working properly. So the first thing you need to do to clean out your slide, I like to get a rag or a washcloth or something, and basically just wet it with water and just try to wipe the slide off. Usually there's gunk on there from like slide grease or oil or anything you put on there. That's kind of the quick way to do it. If you have a little more time, I would suggest taking off your whole slide, bringing it over to the bathtub or a sink or something. Usually bathtub is better. And I have a snake. I don't know if you know what those are, but it's like a cleaning thing. It's like a coil with a brush on the end. So basically you would take the two parts of the slide apart and fill it up with water and snake it out. Use that rag, wipe off the slide, make sure there's nothing on it. And then you can put on your oil or your grease or whatever you use. I prefer using Slido-Mix. And then, you know, just try that. You can also spray it with water. So make sure your slide is completely clean, and then it is oiled, greased, whatever. After that, if your slide is still not working, then I would say it's possible that you could have some dents in the slide and you might need to get it repaired. So that is what I suggest there. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us over here on Facebook at the last minute. Again, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask them. All right, so I'm going to go back to my pre-submitted questions. The next one is from Julius Obina Borgia here on Facebook. And he asks, can I get tips on how to play trombone more confidently? So this is a great question. My answer for how to play trombone more confidently is just play trombone more. You know, if you're playing and practicing all the time, then you're going to be more confident. It's not going to feel weird to you when you're performing. And don't just play and practice, but you actually have to practice performing. Meaning you need to take like every single performance opportunity that you can, and create them for yourselves. Just make more and more people listen to you play. Like play in front of your friends or play in front of your family. Just start there. You can even start with your pets. I mean, you know, just get used to playing in front of people. Another way you can be more confident is start recording yourself. Because believe it or not, even when you see like that little red button is on and you're recording, it can, you know, feel like a performance. So kind of put that pressure on yourself. Just play in front of people more. The more you play in front of people, the more you're going to be confident when you have to play and you have to perform. It's kind of that easy. Just make it feel natural. You know, if you have a performance every day, you'll eventually get used to the way it feels and be more confident. All right, let's see. People are just asking for shout outs in here. Gotta ask a question. see. All right. Yeah, if anyone has any questions, please ask, and I'll give you a shout out for asking and participating today. All right, let's see. This next question is from jharrigan77 over on Instagram, and I feel like this was kind of a joke, but I'm gonna answer it anyways. He said, gun to your head, you have to switch to a new instrument, trumpet or bagpipes. And I know what he's going to want me to say, but I'm actually going to say trumpet. One, because I already have one, so that makes it easy. I have my trumpet sitting upstairs, and I have experience playing it. It's already a brass instrument. It's kind of like trombone, a little bit, so I would definitely say trumpet. Bagpipes, I have no idea. I've actually never even played the bagpipes before, so I don't even know where I would start or where you could even get bagpipes. So yeah, I'm gonna go with trumpet. All right. Anyone have any questions in here? Hello, everybody. All right. Okay, so next, this is from _520 over on Instagram. And he asks, who are some of your favorite trombone players? So this is a great question. This actually changes all the time for me. Like, I'm always searching for new trombone players to listen to be inspired by. But some of the trombonists I'm listening to a lot right now are Karine Hamar. I've been listening to her a lot lately, as well as I'm trying to get way more into like the pop trombone kind of sound. So I'm listening a lot to Aubrey Logan and Trombone Shorty. Just kind of getting into some different musical styles and seeing what the trombone can do as far as, you know, the pop side of things. Let's see, when I was in college, I liked Andy Martin a lot. I remember like transcribing a lot of his solos. Obviously from the classical side of things, like, you know, Joe Alessi is one of the best. So yeah, there's a lot of great trombonists out there. And like I said, it's always kind of changing up for me. I'm always finding new people to listen to. All right, let's see. We got some question here. Okay, Andy Stevens. He was trying to get a shout out here for a while, but okay, you got a question. That's how you can get a shout out. All right, so Andy Stevens asks, what is your most challenging piece? What did you need to work on to perfect it? Oh my gosh. I can't even think of a good answer to this right now. Oh, I guess it would probably be stuff I worked on in college. And I would maybe say not like actual pieces, but I would certainly say like working on excerpts. You know, I did that a lot in my master's degree, especially working on like orchestral excerpts. And there are some challenging ones in there. I mean, probably for me, some of the harder ones was anything that was like in that really low, kind of meaty, loud register. Definitely like the solo to Mahler 3 or Ride of the Valkyries or something that just like required that big, beefy, meaty, like third trombone, low kind of sound. Yeah, those excerpts were certainly challenging to work on. So yeah, that's what I would say, orchestral excerpts. All right, looks like we got some other questions here. I'm just scrolling through a little bit. Okay, another one from Andy Stevens. Do you like early Chicago's trombone player? Yeah, of course. I mean, I can't think of like his name right now, but I mean, I've listened to a lot of Chicago tunes, played a lot of Chicago tunes, so all the horn parts to those are like super fun. So yeah, for sure. All right. Next question we got pre-submitted here. This is also from BazookaBone520 over on Instagram. What are your favorite pieces of trombone repertoire? Okay, this is a good one. So again, I really haven't done a whole lot of trombone repertoire work since college when we had to study that stuff. And I would definitely say there was this piece by Iwazen. It was a duet. I think it was originally written for horn and flute. And then it got changed over to trumpet and trombone. And then my teacher in college, Doug Yo, actually rearranged it for tenor trombone and bass trombone. It was the Pastoral by Iwazen. And it was a beautiful piece of music. So it was just the duet, like the two trombones and piano, and it was really pretty. I played it on one of my recitals, so I definitely really liked that piece. I also love anything by Steven Verhelst. I think his compositions are great and they're new and they're modern. Song for Japan is certainly one of my favorites. I've played that piece a lot in an octet, quartet, all that. So yeah, definitely Song for Japan. And then I really like any of Michael Davis's stuff, especially Trombone Institute for Technology. If you want to check that out, I have a video of that over on my YouTube channel. Same thing with Song for Japan. I have a video over there as well. So I guess those are kind of some of my favorite more trombone repertoire kind of pieces. So yeah, I would say those pieces. All right, let's see. Got some more questions here. I'm trying to make this load. Come on. It's not letting me kind of click on it. Okay, I guess we're not answering that one. All right, John Diesta Cantata asks, what is your favorite piece? What is your favorite to play, jazz or classical? That's a good question. I did both, you know, going through my music education, especially in college. I played in pretty much every ensemble there was at ASU. Orchestra band, jazz band, Latin jazz band, like, you know, trombone quartet, brass quintet, or sorry, trombone quartet, brass quintet, pretty much everything. I'd say, I don't know, that's a hard question. Like, I certainly like listening to classical music. Like, I think classical music is beautiful, and I would certainly say if I played the violin or something, I would enjoy playing in an orchestra. But for trombone, like playing in the orchestra isn't really that fun to me because you just sit there and rest like the whole time. And I like to be kind of a little more involved in the music making process. Jazz is fun for me to play too. I did play in big band a lot in college and like Latin jazz band, stuff like that, kind of the larger kind of jazz ensembles. But for your question, I don't know. I like a little bit of both. But actually now I don't really play a whole lot of either. I certainly prefer more the pop commercial side of things. I love playing in the musical theater pits, or playing in production shows and being on stage and playing with bands and, you know, that kind of stuff. Kind of more the commercial realm, which I guess takes a little bit of both the classical and jazz world. So yeah, hope that's a good enough answer for you. All right, let's see. All right, Paul Blakely, I see your question, but for whatever reason, it's not letting me like click. Okay, there we go. Paul Blakely. Okay, so Paul Blakely asks, I'm planning on going to ITF this year, but I have had a hard time talking to people, particularly new, to make contacts, friends, networking. Any tips? Okay, this is a great question. First of all, that's awesome that you're going to ITF. It was funny because last year it was supposed to be in Japan, in Osaka, and then I know, you know, that got canceled, and I don't even know where it's supposed to be this year, but hopefully it happens. I just saw something that they were switching it into online this year, or they were going to do some streaming, so I don't know what's going on with that, but yeah, comment below, let me know where it's going to be. But yeah, great question. Okay, so that's awesome you're going to ITF. I've had a hard time talking to people. I would honestly just be yourself. I know that sounds simple, but I would definitely go there with some goals of like, you know, what kind of people are you trying to meet, or what kind of connections are you trying to make? Like, I would just go up to people that you start with a compliment. That's like always the easiest place to start, right? So start with a compliment. Go up to someone, like maybe you just checked out their performance or their lecture or whatever, and go up to them, say, hey, I really enjoyed your performance. You know, tell them your name, tell them a little bit about what you do, and just go from there. I mean, also, I think it's important to have a plan like in your head about like when you introduce yourself, like what you want to say about yourself, right? You know, like for me, like using an example, you know, I would be like, hello, my name is Lisa. You know, I'm a freelance trombonist, and I make videos on YouTube. You know, have like a little pitch for yourself that you can kind of use when you introduce yourself to people. And just, like I said, start with a compliment. You know, definitely talk to people, tell them you like their work, give a little introduction. as soon as you can find some common ground with somebody, that always helps too, to kind of break the ice and just let the conversation flow. Like maybe you have a mutual contact, or maybe you went to the same school. Maybe you have been on the same gig before, you know, like try to find a way where you can connect to that person and that you can, you know, break the ice and just kind of have a conversation. Just go from there. Just try to be natural. And yeah, I know that's maybe easier said than done. It's definitely something you can practice too. Like I think you can definitely like practice with your friends or your family, just kind of having those conversations. And yeah, like do little introductions and stuff. So good luck. Have fun at ITF. All right, just flipping through the question here. Okay, this question is from John Diestra Cantata. Have you tried to play in a marching band? This is a great question. I have spent a lot of time playing in marching band. So I did marching band for 4 years when I was in high school. And then when I went to college, I did marching band for 2 years in college because it was required. I did my bachelor's degree in music education. So we actually had to be in the marching band for 2 years. So 4 years in high school, 2 years in college. And then I know it's not totally marching band, but I did do drum and bugle corps for 5 years, which is pretty similar to marching band. So yes, I have played in a marching band before. All right, let's go back to our pre-submitted questions here. This is from D Prince of Piano 432 over on Instagram. Do you play any other instruments besides trombone? Okay, so let's see. Well, when I first started out playing music, I played the piano. I took piano lessons when I was younger. And then when it became time for band, I actually started playing the saxophone first. I played it for 6 months and didn't really like it. So then I switched over to the clarinet, which is what I really wanted to play. And I played the clarinet for like 6 years. And I actually did not start playing trombone until high school, ironically, to be in marching band, which I was just talking about. So yeah, those are kind of my past instruments, I guess you should say. Piano, saxophone, clarinet. I don't really play any of those anymore, except for piano. I use my MIDI keyboard when I write music. So it's not like I'm like playing, you know, Beethoven concertos or something, but I'm certainly, you know, sitting there like clunking out chords and stuff and recording. So yeah, so I did those. And then I guess now, obviously trombone is my main instrument, tenor trombone. But I do also double for shows and stuff. I've had to play bass trombone, euphonium, as well as tenor trombone. And then also, I think I mentioned it earlier too in this live stream, I play trumpet as well. I use my trumpet a lot when I'm teaching students, because I've also started teaching trumpet students. It's just a way for me to get more students as a brass teacher, because trombone isn't as popular as trumpet is. So yeah, and then I've actually did a few recordings doing the trumpet too over on my YouTube channel. I have a couple of those over there if you want to check them out. I think Love and then Girl on Fire were the 2 tunes that I actually played a little bit of trumpet on. All right, so let me get a drink real quick. Okay, so next question. Let's see. Okay, this is from Chris. I'm going to butcher this pronunciation, sorry. Chris Moltisanti. Chris Moltisanti on Facebook. How do you get the most beautiful sound possible? I actually really like that question. So first of all, it's good that you're like thinking of that. So I'd say how you get the most beautiful sound possible is first you have to get that sound in your ear, right? You have to have it in your head, in your ear of like what you want to sound like. So I think the best place to start is by listening to it doesn't have to just be other trombonists, but other musicians, right? So listen to other musicians. It can be trombone or a different instrument, and just like listen to how you want to sound, right? You have to have a sound model or a sound concept or a sound idea in your head. And then the simplest answer is just try to emulate that sound. Try to copy that sound while you're practicing, while you're playing, while you're performing. It's kind of like if you don't have an idea of what you want to sound like, you're never going to like get there, right? So kind of having that sound model in your head. And then the way you can achieve that once you start practicing and once you start playing is obviously you need to have nothing kind of standing in your way between, you know, you and how you're going to get to that sound or how you're going to achieve that sound. So obviously you need to be proficient on your instruments. I mean, you certainly need to know all your basics so that the horn is not getting in the way, right? You need to have no problems when it comes to range or tone quality or any technical things. So definitely, you know, practicing all your fundamentals and all your basics, making sure all that's good to go. And then the other thing is just like staying relaxed. You know, so being able to relax and have no tension in your body and breathe properly. And, you know, if you have all those basics down and then you have that idea of what you want to sound like, they're, you know, it's just kind of making the connection between the two. So yeah, just listen as much as you can and craft that idea of what you want to sound like in your head. And then just try to match it, try to get there. So good luck. That was a really good question. Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions in here? Just let me know if you do. You can type it down below. Okay. So this question is from Andres Martin on Facebook. And this was translated from Spanish. So I think I translated it correctly. I hope I did. And Andres asks, someday can we record something virtually? All right, so this is a good question. It can kind of let me explain how I do collaborations. I'm sure you've seen some of my videos here on Facebook, or I have way more over on my YouTube channel if you want to check them out, that I've collaborated with different musicians. And basically, here's the thing, if you want to collaborate with me, I have people asking me all the time, is you need to tell me kind of what the project is, right? So describe the project to me, go ahead and send over all your links. Like I want to see, you know, your social media, your website, your YouTube channel, like whatever. I kind of got to get a sense of who you are and what this project is for. And yeah, like pretty much send me your best pitch and all your links and everything, and I'll let you know if we can collaborate together. So that's kind of the process for that, in case anyone was wondering. Hello everybody. Hi. All right. One more question here. This is from Redimator on Instagram. He asks, have you ever tried to play a note or a song with at least more than one plunger? I'm gonna assume you mean mute, maybe with more different mutes. And the answer is yes. Definitely in musical theater, you like use different mutes all the time. Like I remember when I was playing in the pit orchestra at Arizona Broadway Theater, like literally I had a suitcase full of mutes, and it was like every single mute I had, you know, cut mute, straight mute, harmon mute, plunger. I've even used, I can't even think of the name of it right now. But yeah, definitely tons of mutes in the musical theater pit, and they'll happen fast too. Like I remember having to like write in my music, like when to make a mute change, or you'd have to get really creative. And there was this trick where people would like kind of put it under your leg to kind of prep to make the mute change real quick, or I'd have to put it on my lap and like hold one and then switch the other one in real fast. So I definitely say in the musical theater pit is where I've seen the most solo tone, that was the name of the mute, where I've seen the most mute changes, and it happens in a single song, like super fast. So yeah, I can't really think of any other musical area where that happens as much as it does in the pit. All right, got some more questions here. All right, hi Gary. Glad you're able to join too. Yeah, think of a question. Let's see. All right, this question is from Gabrielle Montero. Any suggestions on recording trombone in the studio? Yes, I mean, studio recording definitely is, you know, it can be very different. My number one advice to recording into the studio is be prepared. Like go in there just able to play, you know, the music needs to be super well rehearsed, super practiced. Because when you're in the studio, time is money, right? And whoever's recording you, if you're working with like an engineer or something, they're not going to want to sit there and listen to you play like, 20 takes of something. You need to go in and be confident and just be able to like play something right, or like on the first time. And of course, you'll probably do a few takes anyway, just to have some options to choose from. But definitely 100% be super prepared with your music. Don't go into the studio and practice your music. It needs to be like lights out, performance ready to go. I'd say that's definitely my number one suggestion for recording in the studio. The other thing is, make sure before you go into the studio, like if you can, get the information about what kind of equipment you're going to be using and like what kind of headphones you're going to be using, and kind of practice in that same setup. Like, find out if it's going to be like over the ear headphones, like the cans, or if you're going to be like use your earbuds. If you can bring your own equipment. That way you kind of know what to expect, and you're kind of prepared in the sense of, what you're going to be listening to and how that's going to affect how you're playing. And practice that way with the same setup, same headphones anyway. If you can get the tracks ahead of time, that would be helpful too. That way, when you're at home and you're practicing, you can practice with your headphones on and listening to the tracks and all that. Again, this just all goes into preparation, right? So find out as much as you can before you go in. Coming back to the headphones idea, I know a lot of people, a lot of trombonists, brass players like to play with like one headphone on, one headphone off. Typically for trombonists, that would be like this one would be on, and then the one close to the bell would be off. So that's also something you can experiment to find out what you prefer as far as your headphones. I actually, as long as I'm in the monitor, as long as I'm hearing myself, I actually like to have them both on. It just kind of depends. So yeah, I would definitely just kind of figure all that out before you go into the studio. So hopefully that helps. Let's see if we have any other questions here. Microphones, loudness, etc. Okay, this is also from Gabriel. I'm assuming this is a continuation of his question. Microphones, loudness, etc. Okay, so for microphones, I just have experience recording at home in my little home studio. I use a Shure MV88, which I actually have right here. I didn't play on this. I was just recording earlier. This is a Shure MV88. I do have a few videos over on my YouTube channel kind of explaining this microphone and all that it can do. As you can see, it's super small. It plugs right into your iPhone or your iPad, so it's a very easy way to record for beginners, especially because it's easy to use. You don't need a computer and all your programming. The other microphone that I use is a Shure SM57, and I do plug that into an audio interface and into my computer, so that's kind of for more complex kind of projects. So those would be my two recommendations for microphones. The Shure SM57 is also a really good mic for playing live. Like when I've played with bands and stuff, we always use, the horn players use the Shure SM57s. Both of those items are kind of on the more affordable side of things. I have heard from a lot of people who are recording brass in the studio that ribbon mics are the way to go. I definitely want to invest in one of those later, but they are a little more expensive. So I haven't really experimented with using those too much, but I hope to one day get a fancy microphone. So yeah, as far as loudness goes, just play at a comfortable dynamic. You never want to make the microphone peak, which that means like you're kind of playing louder than what the microphone can handle. So I always like to think of the rule of thumb of like, I'm sure you've seen the like singer with the microphone trick, right? They're singing, if the singer is singing really soft, they'll get all the way up in the mic. And then if they're singing really loud, they'll pull the mic away. So kind of keep that in mind. If you're playing like in the low register or something that's very soft, you can be kind of closer to the mic. But if you're playing something super loud, or super high, like especially in trombone, you get in the higher register, it's really loud. You can't, be right up in the mic, it's gonna peak. So, and you're just gonna have to experiment with that yourself, what kind of microphone you're using, and the mic placement and your volumes at the different registers and all that. So I would definitely suggest if you're recording at home, like doing some like sound checks and testing out not only your distance from the microphone, but also the different registers of the instrument. So you can kind of get a feel for how your mic is responding. When I record, I just don't ever really like to play that loud. I mean, especially for the style of music that I'm doing, like you don't want to play super loud. You know, you're not out on a football field with a marching band, or you're not, you know, in a concert hall with like an orchestra and you're playing all the way from the back, you know. So it's, I think for studio recording, definitely less is more, and just play comfortably and play clean and in tune, and just, yeah, you'll figure it out. I know it's all just trial and error too. Like the more you record, the more you'll get used to it. So good luck. All right, I'm gonna flip through these questions a little bit. All right, I'm having a hard time clicking on this for whatever reason. Okay. All right, so this question is from Gary Brown. He's a student of mine. Gary, thanks for joining us here today. I have a question. Have you ever had a performance where something went totally wrong, and how did you react? And what were you able to do to get things right again? That's a great question. I guess I'm trying to think of an example. I mean, of course is the answer. Like, we've all been in performances where something went totally wrong. I think probably my most recent thing that I'm kind of going back to was, let's see, in 2019, on the Blast the Music of Disney tour. I was a swing, which meant as a swing, I played multiple roles in the show. So my main role that I did was actually bass trombone, and then I also covered the roles of the trombone soloist and then the euphonium soloist as well. So on any given night, I could be performing any of those three parts. And there was this one part I was swinging in for the euphonium player, and there was this scene at the end where everyone was exiting off the stage, and and the side of the stage had different portals where you go out of, and I went out the wrong one, or I hesitated, and somebody kind of like, because I was in the wrong place, because I did not move, I kind of got hit by a drum that was exiting the stage. So someone swung the drum around and kind of hit me, and I just ran off. And, you know, obviously I was a little flustered because I was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and my hand kind of hurt, but I don't know. Luckily it was at the end of a number, so I could kind of, you know, take a second to recoup before I had to like figure out where I had to be next. But yeah, that's where my mind goes first, is certainly being a swing in that Blast show, and having to go in and do different roles, and yeah, you just kind of roll with it and just recover really quickly. I think the biggest thing is when something goes wrong in a performance, the biggest thing is like you got to train yourself to make mistakes and not like show it on your face, right? Like even if you're playing and like you play a wrong note or something, like you need to be like stone faced, like I meant to play that, I'm just gonna keep going, you know, instead of, nothing gives a mistake away more than somebody like making a face like whoops, or oh I messed up, you know. So I think that's the biggest thing when it comes to making a mistake, is like it's like you just have to practice doing it, but just like being confident enough to like not let anyone else know you made the mistake. Because honestly, if you play it off confidently, like probably no one's gonna know that you made that mistake except for you. So that's my biggest advice, is just don't show it on your face. Just pretend like it didn't happen. Just keep going, and yeah, just try to be confident. Hope that answered that question. Let's see, any more? All right, this is from Richard Edward. Any suggestions, more resistance? Richard, I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that, so if you clarify, I can maybe answer that question for you. Let's see. Anybody else? Let's see. This is so hard to click on these for whatever reason. Okay, there we go. Let's see. Okay, Richard's, any suggestions for more resistance in trombone? I still don't know what you mean by resistance. Are you thinking like when you play with a mute or something? Like a practice mute where it has a bunch of like resistance? That's kind of the only thing that's coming to mind for me. So sorry if I couldn't answer that. Gary says, lots of cool advice, thanks. I had never seen a mic with an iPhone connector before. Yes, the Shure MV88s are really cool for that. So it's definitely a good microphone for iPhone users out there. All right, John Diesta Cantata, what's the difference between using tenor trombone and single trombone? I assume you mean like the straight trombone, like with no F attachment. That's the main difference. So the tenor trombone, usually like a tenor trombone with F attachment, is the larger horn. I don't have my horns with me, otherwise I could show you. And it has the F attachment. Usually the bore size is a little bigger, and so it takes a little more air to play. And then when you press down the F attachment, you get like the lower series of notes. So it's kind of like having two trombones in one. And then I guess what you're saying, single trombone or a straight horn. It's a smaller horn. The bore size is smaller, so it takes a little less air to play. And usually you use them for like different styles of music. Like a big tenor trombone with the F attachment, you will use in like concert band, symphonic band, symphony orchestra, that kind of stuff. And then the smaller trombones are usually used for jazz or commercial kind of music. So they can get a little bit of different sounds on them. Oh, somebody asked a question in Spanish. I'm really sorry. I can't speak Spanish, and I don't have a translator pulled up right now. So sorry. This is from Jose Rodrigo. Sorry, Jose. Let's see. Okay, that's about all the questions we had for today. So if you have any more, go ahead and put them in there. Otherwise, I'm going to wrap this up here. So thank you again for joining me here on Facebook at the last second. I definitely have to do some research about why my Instagram wasn't letting me go live. So I guess I'll use this time to invite you. If you guys don't follow me yet on Instagram, you can go check it out. Same thing over there, Lisa Liz Trombone. Also, if you haven't yet, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Lisa Liz Trombone. I post new videos there every week. That's definitely where I put all of my YouTube videos. YouTube. It's definitely where I post all of my videos. I have over 100 over there. You should go check it out. And that's about it for today. I'll post this over on YouTube later too, so it'll be over there. If anyone has any questions, please ask. And if not, I'm gonna get going. All right. Thank you everyone for joining me. I'll see you next time. Bye.